guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike, and this is a spoiler-free review of Speak No Evil, a 2024 remake of a 2022 film, an American remake of a 2022 film, also of the same title, which is one of those movies that falls in line of Funny Games, which is also, there's an American remake of that, of movies like Wolf Creek, you know, that sadistic, really bad, terrible, awful things are going to happen to people and it's going to mess with your mind type of movies. This is a remake of one of those type of movies, and that's the idea for this. And Blumhouse decides to make a movie 2 years later. Given Blumhouse's track record recently, you're kind of like, I don't know if that's going to be a frozen turd on the highway or not. But as it turns out, this is one of the best Blumhouse films in recent memory by far, and it's actually R-rated, and they made it for adults and not just any child or fucking idiot they could get to buy a ticket. I know, me too. I'm not talking about you because I do it as well. But this is going to be spoiler free. There will be spoilers at the end of this. I will give plenty of warning because there's some stuff we just have to talk about. Now, I've never seen the original movie, but after watching this, I read about it, and there are differences. It's not a shot-for-shot situation. We'll talk about those at the end with plenty of warning again. By the way, tonight, if you want to join us on the Patreon stream, it's Friday the 13th, by the way. Happy Friday the 13th. Tonight we're watching Friday the 13th, 2009, doing a watch-along party on our Patreon with you guys. We're going to do a beer chug. We've got a whole drinking game set up. If you don't drink, you could just drink water. Keep yourself hydrated. That's important too. But you can join the Patreon on a trial version for free right now in the link below. Hang out with us tonight. And this particular monthly Patreon stream is going to be available for every Patreon member on there. That means that you can join, hang out with us tonight, and do the stream with us for $1. As low as $1 by joining the Patreon. So check that out in the link down below. So on to the movie, Speak No Evil. This is it. If you don't know what the movie's about, it's this couple goes on vacation and they have a daughter. They go on vacation, they run into another couple. They're kind of having a boring time. There's these Danish people who will not stop. That kid is back on the escalator. That's the easy one. What movie is that from? Comment down below. But this Danish family will not stop talking about this cooking class they're taking. And they look over and they see this other family just having a blast. It's James McAvoy with his traps, doing flips into the pool, having beers at noon. And then you've got Scoot McNairy, who I love this guy as an actor. God bless him as an actor. He is always willing to take the most emasculating roles in movies. He's always willing to take that. This guy must have the smallest ego ever, and I mean that in a great way. Scoot McNairy is a great actor, but once again, he's awesome in this as well. But yeah, he's just kind of this almost not personality-less. He's just kind of meek and just kind of goes along with whatever, which there could be problems with what they did with some characters in this. Again, we'll talk about that later. But he and his wife, who's played by Mackenzie Davis, who he was on *Halt and Catch Fire* with, which was an amazing show. I've been begging people for like 5 years to watch *Halt and Catch Fire*. Please watch that show. It's amazing. And they're both amazing in it. And yes, I am in love with Mackenzie Davis, but apart from that, she's fucking fantastic in this movie as well. James McAvoy is getting a lot of the headlines for this, and rightfully so because of what he does, but it also wouldn't have worked without her. She has this reactionary ability to her, like these holy shit faces that are just so realistic and almost funny at times, but she's so good. I'm getting ahead of myself. They run into this couple, and the couple's all sorts of bags of fun, and they're not doing so hot in their life, so they hang out with him, they have a great time, and they say, hey, why don't you come up to the countryside, spend the weekend with us? This super charismatic guy, they seem like fun people, why not? Let's go. So they go, and they spend the weekend with these people in their, I'm going to call it a college, their countryside, out in the remote countryside, and little by little, it's like the real world, you know? When things stop being real and start becoming more polite, fuck that up. You know what I mean. It's like the real world, where people stop being polite and start getting real. That's basically James McAvoy's character's like principle in this movie. And he has all these deep beliefs on life or whatever, but he's so fun. And he's got this really strong apple cider that you can get fucked up with him and have a good time. But they get more uncomfortable and more uncomfortable and more uncomfortable as it goes on. He acts like his wife's giving him head under the dinner table. They get way too comfortable, I'll say. I won't give away any stuff. They just get more awkward and they start pushing the boundaries, poking the bear a little bit more of this kind of meek couple. Mackenzie Davis's character is definitely the A-type personality of the couple, so she starts to push back pretty quick. She's like, whoa, what the fuck? But then Scoot's over here just like, he has cider, honey, it's okay. and stuff gets involved with the kids, and it just escalates. And the entertaining part of this movie, you know where it's going, right? And I'm not giving away anything that's not in the trailer, which definitely showed too much, as Blumhouse and Universal movies always fucking do. All the way down to, hey, and don't worry, that kid literally being like, saying that my dad cut out my tongue. That guy cut out my tongue, and that's why I can't talk doing this stuff. He wasn't saying that in the trailer. It wasn't actually a spoiler. He was just doing rolling with the homies.
Rolling with the homies. Oh, hi. Oh, don't cry.
I gotta go, though. I left my Cranberry CD in the quad. So, I mean, you know where it's headed from the trailer alone. It's gonna go to crazy town. We literally see McAvoy in the trailer running around, you know, like having a steroid freak out. And I'm not accusing him of doing steroids. I don't care if he did. Dude is fucking jacked, is he not? I mean, those traps literally should be a character in the movie by themselves. They're their own character. Like, SAG after whoever, we need to get those fucking traps like a card or whatever it is you people do over there. He's so good in the movie because he has both a suppressed quiet rage and a really loud outburst type of rage, and both are sharp as fucking nails, man. He does such a good job in both, and the movie's entertaining leading up to where things finally become, okay, holy shit town, it's time to fuck. Before things get there, the movie stays entertaining because of the awkwardness. And there's one point where he's just driving in the car and he just looks over at him and he just starts singing at him. And he's just looking Scoot directly in the eyes and just staring at him and singing earnest as hell. He's just saying the most outlandish shit, but he has the most earnest, like serious, dead ass face on the entire time. And he's really creepy. And we've all experienced people like that in our lives, where you meet them, they seem cool, but they just get a little fucking weirder as time goes on, or you find out they're a compulsive liar, or they just start asking for weird shit. You know, people's crazy always eventually shows, and it can be frightening. And that's exactly why this movie works. It says a lot about social relationships, like when you're hanging out with people, like, what will you let people get away with just to be polite? It's like that scene in Fight Club where they're like, your homework is to go start a fight. And some people instantly fight, but some people, like, you can do anything to them and they will not fight you. And that's kind of what this movie is. But where does that come to play when it's your kids? How long do you let a man hug your wife? Like, you know what I mean? How long does it go beyond friendly? And where are you willing to say something about it? And all that shit's fascinating. So even though they gave away the premise of the movie in the trailer and everything's kind of obvious about what goes on here, the movie stays entertaining at a good pace. Like most movies these days, I feel like it was probably could have been 15 minutes shorter. And I think the final act of the film, it was fine. It was suspenseful. It was definitely suspenseful. It was entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat for sure. Nothing happened there that made me really like shit my pants. You know what I mean? There was nothing super intense with the ending. You probably could have gone a couple different alternate routes with that. I thought what they landed on was fine. But no, all in all, man, it's a movie with amazing performances. It's a movie that has suspense and tension in it. And it's a movie that's kind of freaky and makes you uncomfortable and makes you think about who you are and your social archetype when it comes to how you react to stuff and how quick you are to snap back. And in today's internet age, that's a really interesting thing too, because I don't know if you guys have seen this in people, but there's a group of people on the internet who like to get who like to say really offensive, rude shit just out the gate. And then the second you respond to them, they're like, oh, I used to be a fan of you, dude. Like, I can't believe you defended yourself. What the fuck? Or like, you know, like, I watched your video, so you're not allowed to say that to me. I was like, yeah, I am. Fuck you. You're being a dick. Stop being rude. A lot of stuff like that is really interesting when it goes into this movie. And I like the idea. My wife didn't want to go watch it because she hates home invasion movies, but I like the idea what they did with the home invasion movie here. They took it and they flipped it. It's pretty obvious it's a home invasion movie, but they're trapped in their house on their countryside. And it's kind of like the people under the stairs. Like, you're trapped inside of their house where they have the high ground. They know the layout. They know everything. And you're playing by their rules. And I kind of liked how it flipped it on its head like that. There's a dynamic between Scoot and Mackenzie Davis's characters. While I say I love Mackenzie Davis in this, and she's not only a badass, but she's also just, her reactions just make the movie for me. Apart from McAvoy's craziness, it's perfect. It's like my wife when I have too many drinks at one of her work events and I say something really dumb. It's like the face that you see of pure shock, or her friends when they see what I do for a living. But there is a dynamic in their relationship, very Straw Dogs type of situation too. This movie reminds me a lot about Straw Dogs, what it says about, you know, being a man and like manliness and like protecting your family and things like that. And there's stuff I'm not 100% sure what the film was going for with this, or if the original did this a lot, but there is definitely a sense of Scoot McNairy's a little bitch at times in this, and it's fucking frustrating. And on the flip side of that, while I love Mackenzie Davis's performance, her character is kind of a fucking asshole at times in this. Like, there's times where she steps up and she's just super rude and bitchy for no reason. Like, she's actually impolite at times. So, and what they do with these two characters is kind of strange. It's a choice for sure. I got it. I got what they were going for. I'm shocked that I'm not seeing a bunch of people really angry on the internet, knowing how we are and how we react to things. I was fine with it, but I watched it and I went, ooh, I know some people who are going to be like, huh, I don't fucking like that. You know what I mean? But again, shout out to Scoot McNairy for always be willing to play those probably tough to play roles, to be honest with you. The character who played James McAvoy's wife in the movie, her name's Aisling Franciosi. She's not getting talked about enough in this either. She's great. She held so many secrets in this movie and just never gave it away to the audience. And she just did a really good job. I enjoyed her a lot. I never knew where the hell her head was at the entire movie. So excellent performance by her that's getting overshadowed. Again, it's an amazing acted movie. It's a twisted story. It kind of reminds me of those mid-2000s horror movies where they always had to release an unrated cut, like when they did the Last House on the Left remake, the Hills Have Eyes remake, stuff like that. I'm not going to say whether or not it gets twisted like those movies did, but the whole vibe, the idea of the movie, at the very least, what they're threatening to do to you in this movie gives me the vibe of those movies in an entertaining American remake sort of way. But I don't feel like they ever sold the cow and made a shitty cash grab movie. This feels legit, well acted, and just it's a good movie. It's a twisted movie. I'm going to give it a strong 7.5. And again, I could not imagine though going into this movie sight unseen, never knowing about the original, never knowing the plot or where it was going to go. This is one of those movies, and I'm always confused about how to rate movies when it comes to this, because it's not technically the movie's fault that we know so much about it going in, but it is a remake of another movie, so I don't know. But probably would have been a higher ranking for me if I had no idea what I was walking into, because, man, this movie would be intense as fuck if you didn't know exactly where it was going from the get. But apart from that, it still overcomes it with just good, solid fucking filmmaking, man. And personally, I like McAvoy's performance in this so much, I enjoyed it more than Split. That is going to be a minority opinion. Most people will say they enjoy Split's performance more, but for me, there was something about this that I really enjoyed. It had nothing to do with just his glistening fucking muscles. What? So that brings us, my friends, to the spoilers. Let's talk about some of the spoilers in this movie. So, after seeing the movie, I went and I sat down and I read the Wikipedia to the original movie. I know, fuck me, that shouldn't do that. I should have just went and watched the movie, but I've never seen it before. And I wanted to know, like, how hardcore did they get with the ending? And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really, really glad that I never watched the original movie. That's the one, I almost never do that. And I think something in the force of the world was calling to me, like, go and look up that movie before you watch it. I also didn't want to see a shot for shot of the exact same movie again, so that was part of it. But when I read what happens in the original movie, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm so glad they didn't do that here. There's a place for stuff like that. Like, Funny Games is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life because it's so sadistic and it's so fucking mean. I don't like meanness for the sake of meanness, like, unnecessary Rob Zombie rape scenes, for instance, and things like that. But that one worked. This idea of what they did in that original movie, I would not have wanted to see it. I'll never watch that movie. As a dad, I just don't think I can take it. I can't take it. I left the cake out in the rain, and I don't think I can take it because it took so long to bake it. Sorry, I've had that in my head since Beetlejuice. I will say that in this movie, they do not go that hardcore. Honestly, everything kind of works out for everyone, except for the hippies. Yeah, they're fucking dead. No, except for James McAvoy and his wife, who obviously she dies. And then when he comes back around the corner, and in the original, I won't explain to you exactly how it happens, but everything goes poorly for every fucking one. And just in case you want to watch the original, it's, oh God, it sounds gnarly as hell. But in this one, the kid stepping over, Scoot McNairy never ever finds his nuts in this movie. I feel like there's that one scene at the very end, they're trying to escape, and thank God for Mackenzie Davis again, because she saves the day. Shaves the day. You have to shave the day. She saves the day. because the woman's following behind him in the window and she knocks her off the thing or whatever. But then the ladder's on the ground and they're trapped. McAvoy's still running around the house. He's got acid burning into his face. Just another part of his great performance, man. When he sprayed his face with that thing and like punching the wall and screaming, I was like, oh God, that's scary. I love it. And it's intense because I feel his pain as well. I would be doing the exact same thing. I would be blaming everyone else, punching the wall and screaming like a girl. But when she goes and chases him, the ladder falls down and they're way up high and he looks at her and he's like, all right, I'm going to jump down there. I'm going to break my fucking leg because I have to get the ladder to save my family. And that's like the only moment he has. He has moments where he tries to. There's a moment where one of the bad guys is coming through, the dude's friend, by the way. And this final part where the friend shows up to help them actually made it feel a lot like Fear to me when all the friends raid the house or whatever. But when he finally finds his nuts and decides to jump out of the closet with that hammer, because the guy's going after his little girl, you know, and he's chasing with the hammer, and he just gives this, my pussy hurts, like fucking, you know, a swing, and the guy's like, and the guy just fucks him up, and then picks his head up and starts to, and then, granted, we're dealing with like country, you know, dudes, I get it, but it was just a weak attempt. I don't blame him for losing. I don't like people who were captured. I don't blame him for losing the fight because he tried. It was just a weak, you know. But then the guy's about to put his head against the shards. And then, of course, Mackenzie Davis again shows up and saves her husband's ass. And there's a moment right before that happens, too, where they're talking and he's starting to freak out. And she goes and she gets a box cutter and she's like, you know, it's not annoying, in my opinion. They did not Mary Sue her character, as people like to say, at all. To me, because it was all a shock. Like there's a scene where they have the gun pointed at her and she has that box cutter. She frees herself, grabs the gun and is holding it. And the reason it's not like, oh my God, all of a sudden she's Action Jackson is because the shock on her face. Again, a great part of the performance that she put together. You could see this is all a shock to her. She's just rising to the occasion. It's like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones once said. I never had to knock on wood, but I wonder if I'd ever been able to do. I never wanted to do that, is what the Mighty Mighty Boss Tone said, and that's definitely how the lyrics go. And I fucked that up. It's a great song, but yeah, I mean, what would you do in that situation? And clearly, he melts, and she's like yelling at him. She's like, "Think about your kid. Calm the fuck down." You know, she did everything but bitch smack him, and it was a choice. It was a choice. I mean, I don't know what we're trying to do here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just these two characters, and this is the situation that they're put in, I guess. I was worried when I was watching that. I was like, oh God, are we about to go to some weird territory here? I'm about to hear fucking discourse about, oh my God, of course they made the man wimpy and the woman strong. I think personally it was just the way these characters were. If I'm wrong about that, then I am. But it was frustrating. It was really frustrating to watch Scoot McNairy just let all this shit happen to his family. Because even as, you know, just as a man, you're just like, you're going to fucking let them do what the fuck? And there's the classic line that comes, like, why are you doing this? And he's like, because you let me. I think it says something about, hey, you better start standing up for yourself out there, folks, because shit like this will happen. But I don't know. That's just the way I saw the whole thing. But anyways, he's laying there and Scoot still doesn't like kill him. Even after he was going to take his little girl and turn her into his new wife after they killed his wife, which is perfect because I didn't need to see all this awful stuff happen to these kids. I didn't need to see all this just depressing shit. Just him saying it and delivering that performance when he's like, no, you took my wife, so now I'm going to take your little girl and she's going to become my new wife. And then you ultimately find out for sure, you know, how much of the wife was probably just a victim as well. But and then just the thought of that is fucked up enough. You know, there's some things you can just say into the universe and it lands as strong as it needs to. We don't have to see it happen. And I'm really glad they chose that route with this movie. So I feel like I would prefer this over the original just for those reasons alone. You know, sometimes tell me, not show me is a better situation. But anyways, he gets beat down and the kid's stepping over him and the kid decides to pick up this brick and just murder the fuck out of him. He's like, that's my boy. And he's fucking murdering the shit out of him. It was a great scene, honestly, but I was like, Scoot, you need to get your ass in there and to kick his leg or something. Like, yeah, take that. Take it back, Scoot. But, I don't know. And then there's the Wolf Creek realization. Like, you understood why the kid wanted to kill him. Because, God, he's such a dick to this fucking kid. The scene where at the end, they're finally escaping and that gate opens and you're like, I mean, I know they're not going to make it, but you're starting to convince me they're going to make it. And then he just fucking pushes that kid. And, which one? This? And just throws the kid into the lake. And you're like, it really made you like the characters a lot, though. Specifically James McAvoy, because that kid was. I'm just kidding. No, it made you like the characters of Scoot McNairy and Mackenzie Davis, because like he could have saved his family, but he stopped and he was like, I can't let that kid drown. Stupid decision, yes. Quick decision, but still, like, it made you like him. Like, you feel like you would have done the same thing. But ultimately, dude, when he shows up immediately after he saves the kid and throws his wife on the ground and puts a gun to her head, I'm like, man, fuck. That's intense. Like, I felt that in my soul. Like, you're really fucked now. And he could have just shot them both right there. I just had to change my battery. I can't believe how long I've talked about this movie. But it actually makes me like it a little more the more and more I talk about it. But what else? What are we missing? The reason that kid hates him so bad is not only all the abuse that he's put him through, but also we find out that this is a Wolf Creek type situation where he's been doing this to families for a long time. The kid makes them realize what's going on by taking the little girl into their basement area and showing them their collection of all these suitcases and kid shoes and fucked up shit like that. And it's sort of like a Jeepers Creepers moment when you go into the well and you see all the shit that they've done, or Wolf Creek when you realize this guy's been doing this for a while. And that's really cool how that unfolds. And then you realize that they've just been taking people's kids and doing this shit to them. And it's just again, this one just lets you kind of figure it out for yourself. But you can imagine all the dark stories there are in the past. You know, Blumhouse will probably get prequels, probably get a shit ton of prequels showing every family that died. But yeah, you feel bad for this kid. This guy killed their parents and threw him into that fucking lake, and then abused this kid and did all this horrible shit to him, and then made him like love them and like hug them and shit like that. Just really fucked up stuff. But I just love that about the movie, that the movie was able to be fucked up and to be twisted and to be for adults and be mean and go there without showing us like little kids getting, you know, hurt and killed and shit like that. Like, I really appreciate the way they handle that, and the ending of this movie more so than the movie. Yeah, I didn't see it, but I read it, and fuck don't wanna. I like that the ending pulled its punches a little bit. And it was smart how they showed that, because it is kind of dumb whenever you realize that someone's, oh, he's a serial killer, he's killed 100 people, but like, how would you ever get away with that? Like, yeah, everyone who drives past this guy's house dies. I wonder who the fucking killer is, you know? And this, they do that interesting because they show that he plans it all out really well, and they have him send letters home saying, I'm not coming back, and like all this stuff like that. Granted, they kind of gloss over it, but it's enough to be like, oh, I see what you're doing here, you fucking sickos. But I really, really enjoyed the movie a lot. And again, it's got a comedy aspect to it because James McAvoy is so fucking nut can, and it's frustrating because like you're looking at Scoot McNairy like, would you do something? But Mackenzie Davis is fucking great, and the movie's awesome, man. I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend going to see it. Best Blumhouse movie in forever. Hopefully you guys will come and hang out with us tonight on Friday the 13th, and the link for that's down below. I love your all's fucking faces. I hope you have an amazing day, and we'll see you soon.
Hello, listener. Do you like scary movies? What's your favorite scary movie? Well, Jay and Mike like scary movies, too. You should go and subscribe to their podcast, We Watched a Movie. Because if you don't, I'll gut you like a... Well, I think you get the idea. Enjoy yourselves while you still can.